Hi, welcome to our video on cutting circles. And we're going to be using a circle cutter. As you probably watched our previous video on cutting strips, these are called strip and circle cutters. So pretty well everything on the market will do both. So last time we used this attachment with our rod with our wheel on it. This time we're going to use a turret which actually rotates. So it's fairly easy to make our circular score perfect. So what we do is we push this along to where we want. I want to make an 8-inch circle, so I'm pushing this along to number 8. And I tighten up the screw on the side. As I mentioned before, this comes with 6 wheels. And you basically start off with number 1, and once it gets dull, you go to number 2, etc., all the way to number 6. When you've worn out all the wheels, you can then get a new turret. And literally, we sell hundreds of these strip and circle cutters. This one's made by Glasstar. And we sell very few of the wheels. So it's a kind of a thing where you buy once and you probably have a lifetime investment without having to purchase a new set of wheels. So I've got a piece of glass here. I want to cut an 8-inch circle in it. So first thing I want to do is leave at least half an inch. So before I actually make my score, I'm going to make sure that I've got at least half an inch all the way around here. What I like to do is I like to start from a bit of a point of uncomfort and work myself towards myself so I feel more comfortable as I'm finishing the score rather than worrying about being comfortable to start off with. So I start off here. I'm going to put pressure with my left hand. I'm pushing down on the turret to keep it from moving around. This one has 3 rubber bullets on the bottom of it to keep it fairly firmly on the glass, but you still have to push down relatively hard. And then I'm going to use my other hand to push down on the turret that's going to actually make the score. So starting off, I just push down. Again, I would suggest you push as hard as you can all the way around. And you can tell when you get back to where you started, you hear a little click. And you want to stop at that point because the worst thing you can do with any glass cutter is to go over your score line twice. So it's inevitable that you're going to have a little bit of overlap. But once you hear that click, it's time to stop. So we take this one away. I don't really need to jeopardize the rest of this glass with, this perhaps breaking improperly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off approximately a minimum half inch to an inch wider than I need. There are many different ways to now break this circle out. The easiest way, and the one that I like to use whenever possible, is to flip it over and to actually push down underneath the score. And you can actually hear it as it's going along when it's breaking properly. So by doing this, I'm getting that score run all the way along. Since this is opalescent glass, it's a little hard to tell exactly if it has broken properly. So I'll just flip it over and make sure that I push it again all the way around. So that sounds pretty good. So now all I have to do is make a couple of scores that are running into here. Since I've run this score all the way along, there's really no danger of these scores running beyond where my circle is. So now I can take my strip or my running pliers and I can run these individual pieces. You can see that comes out nice. Go to the next one, that one out, and sometimes this last one will just drop out, which this one did. So the advantage of doing it this way is you get a very clean circle. There are no bumps along the edge of this. I really do not have to grind this, especially for fusing. It's a really nice consistent edge. Now, I will show you how to do another circle and a different way of breaking it out. And so to do that, I'm going to use this cutter. This is made by Fletcher Terry. If all you're going to do is circles, this is an excellent circle cutter. The advantage of this for doing circles, it actually has a suction cup which will allow you to hold. You don't have to bother pushing down on here. This actually adheres to the glass, and it's not going to let go. You can get a really, really good grip on the glass using that. So I'm going to make a smaller circle in this case, go down to say 4 inches. And let's see, I don't have to be any more than about half an inch away from it. So I'll just go to my two edges here, go to about 1/2 inch away in each case. Lock this down. It's locked down properly, so it's holding really well. And same thing, I'm going to start close to my body, push myself all the way around. And as soon as I hear that click, I know, okay, let's stop. Okay, so again, I'm going to cut off basically a square, which is anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 inch bigger in all dimensions. So what we can do at this point is we can take our score and score up to the edge of this glass. So I think with this being opalescent, you can see that I've just gone right up along the edge of this glass. I can then take my running pliers, and I've run from there to there, and now I can just continue around with my fingers all the way. Now the advantage to this over when I flipped it over and I was pushing from the back is that I can actually see where my score is and exactly what I'm doing. So I think that I got a pretty good bite at that. So now what I'm going to do is same thing, go along, make my score there, work that one out, make another score over here, break that one out, and there again I should be able to break this one off like that. Now the difference is you can see I do have some bumps. Every time you have a new run starting, you end up with a little bump which you're going to have to grind off. So that is the disadvantage to breaking it off in smaller pieces like I did there. So I would really recommend flipping it over. The flipping over works really well for the larger circles, especially if you're doing a sink or something with an 18, 16 inch, 14 inch circle. And especially if you're using thick glass, I find that the flipping it over is really the best way to go. You may want to have a small carpet, indoor outdoor carpet, or something fairly thin that has some give to it, or cork. I usually do this, cut my circles on a cork table, so that way when I'm pushing down it works really well that way. So as I said, if you're doing mostly circles, I would highly recommend going a little extra and buying the Fletcher Terry cutter. If you're doing mostly circles but also you're going to do a lot of strips, so if you're doing more strips and less circles, then I would definitely go to the Glastar strip and circle cutter. And if you're doing small circles only, both of the previous cutters I mentioned, the Fletcher and the Glastar, will do anywhere from a 24-inch circle down to a 3 or 3.5 inch circle. A lens cutter, though, will cut anything from 1/2 inch to 3 inches. So if you're doing jewelry or you wanted to do a lot of small circles, again for fusing or some other purpose, a lens cutter works much better. And it works in exactly the same way. It's just a matter of adjusting this to whatever dimension you want to make, putting your glass underneath it, making your score, and then, obviously if you're doing a very tiny score, it's going to be much more difficult to break it out, and you will end up having to do a fair amount of grinding afterwards. But I highly recommend these circle cutters. If you're doing a lot of circles, you'll find them to be very handy.